Greetings to Occultists Anonymous and our Into the West Mage Chronicle. Hope you all have had a good time with us, and we're gonna carry on. I hope you watched all our triptych of little one-off little episodes. So hope you enjoyed those. The gang is all back together. We'll find a reason for Helena to go off on her own at some point, so we can have one with Ash. I got ahead of myself.
Well, she's gonna go after the BMX bandit. So instead of it being the two of them and the BMX bandit just feeling insecure in her presence, the BMX bandit is gonna be coming through town, and the local angel summoner is gonna take him down.
I have no idea what this is a reference to.
Really?
No.
That Mitchell and Webb look? You've never seen that bit?
No.
All right, brief reference. I know we're starting this 15 seconds. There's a big. I want you to watch it. This guy who uses BMXs and tries to solve crimes or problems with the BMXs paired with an angel summoner.
Yes.
The angel summoner makes him feel bad because his solution is always, why not just summon an angel to solve the problem? He's like, I want to do cool tricks with BMXs. So.
Yep. Okay, I'm there. Thank you to our supporters on Patreon.
I think it was really cool to see some backstory.
Oh yeah. We'll find an excuse. But no pressure on
This is a 10 out of 10 intro.
Yeah, I know. Hey patrons, we haven't forgot you. Thank you to Adele, Alice, Aiden, Al, Alexander, Alstrid, BBL, Drizzy, Bernie, Buck, Chris, Doc, Emil, Ethan, Jeff, George, I'm the Real 06, James, Camo, Cat Feathers, Klaus, Live Love Lesbian, Milo V3, Boku, Mozart D Minor, Nexus, Nick, Other Guy, Perry, Foog, Polka Dot Hubris, Porter, Puppeteer, Riafio, Sean, Shexara, Starfish, Terran, Terry D, Thomas, Verhex, Vincent, Vortex, and Zoltan. Yes, Vortex changed their name from Vortex Falcon, and it causes a hiccup every time. It's very... All right. Yes, besides the BMX bandit, the coven kind of returned back from our wacky shenanigans in the Maelstrom and returned back home, some immediately, some after a day. Chris would have been the last, not Chris, Petrichor would have been the last to arrive that evening. You all went about your evening, some into the next morning. I am going to ask the players here. We have a mystery cult within. We have a nameless order, yes. Right? Within. Mm-hmm. Do you all have regular meetings?
Yes.
How often?
Once every 10 days.
Oof.
That seems often.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What does everybody else think?
Like maybe once a month? Or is it more like an HOA where you meet quarterly?
Like Theo will kind of lean towards once every new moon.
Once a month. That's good.
I just am going to use this as an excuse to use the word fortnight.
Yes. Once every 2 fortnights, you all meet.
Fortnightly.
Fortnightly. And everyone's like, does that mean we meet twice a fortnight? Or
me when I battle royale?
Another reference.
So yes. I was thinking about once a month as well. Lunar calendar, right. Especially being witches. And coven. That's just kind of classic.
And witching hour.
Yep.
Hotly debated whether it's full moon or new moon, though.
Yeah.
I think in that case, some of the members don't know, but Legba is meeting with them every 10 days.
Oh, like you're having a chat with them just coincidentally.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Ralph does the corporate one-on-ones. Right? There's a big staff meeting, but then Legba is doing all the one-on-ones. And it's really convenient because Legba just checks in on people like in their dreams. It's like, yes, hey, you exactly. Got a minute? I'm kind of in the middle of a thing. Do you mind if I pull you into a call real quick?
It's fine. Time's passing infinitely here. It's eternal. Don't worry about it. You and I need to chat about that thing you were saying last week. Okay, well, how's that going? I was like, going, you gonna let me in? Tell me the secrets.
Oh man, now I'm just like deep in like the corporate world is in your dreams even.
Oh.
Okay. I need a cleansing.
All right. So when are you gonna get me those TPS reports?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So
Get
coincidentally
those for me.
our last meeting was missed because, well, it wasn't missed so much as 3 of the primary members were missing, because at this point Helena is still super new, right? And that's actually the other question I was going to bring up. Do the members of the Nameless Order know you are mages? I believe we determined that they knew you were leaders, but not necessarily that you were mages. Or alternatively, is it a secret identity kind of thing? I can't remember if we determined this.
And my memory may not be accurate, but I think it was they knew that we were doing, like, there was another level of stuff that we were capable of, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they know all the details.
Okay.
Some of them are sleepwalkers.
So maybe
Right.
it's con-
Mm-hmm. But and that's why I'm talking about like the Nameless Order as a whole, whether or not they know.
Like, they know if they want to talk to the figure walking around at night in the dark with a blue lantern, like, they know to talk to us to facilitate that.
Mhm.
I don't know that they necessarily know it's actually us.
Right. There might be some suspicion, but that's the nature of Shadow Name, right?
Mm.
Cool.
If
Uh,
that compares with you guys.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
Plausible
Uh,
deniability.
right,
Yeah.
exactly that. There are definitely those who know that you are mages. In case of like Jules, might have an idea.
Maybe,
The
maybe.
others, yeah. At least one of Isabel's deputies knows, and I think we have some member of Les Enfants in there.
Messenger.
So yeah, that's right. Yes. And that's something else that like off screen, if there are other members that have started to coalesce together. So, but yes, Jules as Coven's secretary and hang on here. I need to find out when this was made. Dang. Okay, so we can't reference Robert's Rules of Order.
Mallet.
Mallet, yes, but actually for me, church.
Really? Wow.
Yes. But that's a whole other thing.
Well,
But
the concept of a parliamentarian has existed. It predated Robert's
Correct.
Rules of Order.
Right.
Robert's Rules of Order was just one popular manual of science.
I was going to say that Jules busts up with like the meeting minutes and his copy of Robert's Rules, but we predate it. So
I mean, he probably just introduces whatever system the Royal Society is using.
Absolutely. I just can't name drop a historical setup. So, but yes, he basically goes around because of all of the Nameless Order members, Jules is the one that most folks around town know is not necessarily up to no good, but dabbles in the
Like a weird
occult.
little guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the reputation from the very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing weird stuff.
Yep.
Trying to look at
Yeah.
eclipses. Well, it's not eclipses, but the science, yes.
Yep.
Engage in weird sorcery. The devilry.
Most don't know
on
about
top
the
of the
sorcery,
mines.
but yes. And then of course knows about the worst kept secret in Purgatory Bluff is that he's also the apothecary, right? He's the alchemist, right?
Mhm.
And tries to whip up, concoctions to help folks. So he is the one who, kind of goes around and checks in and reminds everybody, and effectively he summons the order. And like, oh yes, he summons the order for an emergency meeting, which he then immediately mentions there's not an emergency. It's just a meeting that we're happening out of schedule because the last one, we didn't make a quorum, and like everybody is just looking at Jules like, we get it, bro. We didn't meet last. Yeah, it's fine. But he's like, I have to do it this way. These are the rules that everybody agreed to. Let's be honest. Everybody agreed
procedure
to this,
matters.
right? Everybody agreed because Jules would not stop talking about it. It's like, Jules, put a plan in place and we'll go off of that. Okay. And he was
Isabel just like sitting in the corner, just like flashing her gun to anyone that wants to interrupt Jules.
Just Kevin
He's
opening up her
having
fast.
fun, okay?
That's great. I like how it's a real casual, laid back posture.
Yeah.
And like, it's not in her hand.
No.
And then,
Yeah,
the
she just,
second
like,
they look
brings
over
her
for
hand back
approval,
and
she's
moves
not
the
looking
vest,
at
yeah.
them, but the gun is then in her hand.
Yep.
It's giving. Go on, sweetie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, everybody, throughout the day, everybody's kind of more or less let know, hey, we're gonna meet up, just because 4 people, 3 of our founding members and our newest member weren't here, and we just want to catch up and have our regular meeting. So that actually sets us up with, I'm imagining, the tail end of that meeting where most everybody is kind of reporting in and talking about the goings on of town, much of which is mundane, and everybody's like, yes, we heard about that. But for Sheriff Isabel, for example, this is a great chance for all the gossip and he stole this, she stole that kind of stuff that you have to deal with. A lot of that gets kind of outsourced in these meetings because you have suddenly, I'm imagining, about 10 folks at least in this nameless order, who have various perspectives around town. Theodosia, you have this insight to the farm and what's going on there. Legba has this finger on the pulse of basically the Haitian contingent, which I mentioned.
As we established, right? He's going around periodically and eavesdropping on the conversation. Well, not eavesdropping, but monitoring the conversations that happen in the astral.
Correct. Yep. So various, sources of information. And then, of course, a lot of the members are looking at Helena, who's like, she's nice and all, but why is she involved? And no, the 3 of us said she's in, so she's in. Everyone's going, okay.
Jeez, just a question. God. She jumped down my throat about it.
She's earned her spot. Which actually,
the simple explanation is, like Rilla before her, she is one of the primary educators of our children.
That's
that is an important part of improving the town and the community, which is the dedication of this mystery cult.
Yep. Also very, very true. It doesn't even have to be browbeating. There actually is a good reason. But yes, so there's some of the mundane stuff going on. There is mention of some of Ike's cattle going missing again. And there's a shared nod of, do we really care? At the same time, it's like, well,
yes.
And Legba has it's like, well, we do need to figure out what it is before something gets blamed on somebody around here, or there's something spooky out there that comes into town,
or he decides to take matters into his own hands and goes off half-cocked and.
Yep, exactly. So there's some of that, kind of mundane level, not quite mage obsession level mysteries that are going on. Again, checking in on everybody, how's everybody doing, and then eventually everybody kind of meanders away. The reason I'm putting this here is now we have the coven here together, having a chance to kind of recap and also kind of figure out where you guys want to go next, because in our little triptych there, we kind of resolved or progressed some personal stuff, but Ahibahu handled. But the whole reason we had even gone into the Tempest was Jeremiah. and his missing time, which we have now discovered is horrific. I'm sorry. And what to do about that, as well as if anybody wants to confess any crimes or really, really bad ideas that they may have done while everybody else wasn't looking or anything like
Why is
that.
everybody looking at me?
Look, I'll put all the corpses back tomorrow, okay? I need them. You got an idea? You're not
On
going to believe
loan.
this.
They've got library cards stapled to a rib.
That's right. I have a chain of custody for these corpses.
Isabel gives a quick rundown of what happened after she stayed, and the potential issues that are still going to arise from everything that's going on in the Tempestari Order. That there was some sort of conspiracy to support Ahibahu, led by a contingency of Mediterranean mages who had all had the same mentor, and that those mages, at least the ones that were caught and summarily yeeted out of the order, did cross the aisle, so to speak, between Seers and Diamond Order mages, and that due to that, Abigail and Petrichor are feeling like they have stepped onto a grander stage and put themselves more in, both more in charge and more in danger.
Like I would ask. Did you determine what they earned through their support? Forgive me for seeming cynical, but it must have been more than just some tie of allegiance.
Insight, resources, I didn't determine, but I can take some strong guesses.
How confident are you that corruption hasn't spread further into the Tempestari?
Even odds. I'm pretty sure these are just the ones that were too stupid to, keep a poker face.
Right.
There are, of course, ways to learn something that might indicate allegiance, which won't be a direct invasion and won't actually reveal that you're looking in the first place.
You're talking about connections?
I've been revealed to be looking. It's a stated sort of open policy.
All right.
I read on the Tempestaris are all pretty much out there.
Yeah, I know y'all haven't been up there that much, but like it's duels all the time. Conversation, duel. Disagreement, duel.
Legba leans in and says, I held out hope it was such a blunt circumstance. I didn't realize.
Yeah. So a couple more questions. And I'm actually it was suggested prior to our trip to the Maelstrom that it's about time for me to take an apprentice. And I'm hoping that someone will be stupid enough to send me a new mage to try and climb their way up the ladder fast. Because there's only but so much I can do to one of my superiors. but if someone under my training were to be stupid enough to go against my wishes or try and get the better of me, I would have no qualms about grounding them.
I love how there's sort of the wavy, scary lettering in the grounding, as you say.
Yep.
Which is all to say, I appreciate the offer, but I think this is an order thing still for now.
Wouldn't require my direct participation. Just merely reminding you that in the event that your investigations would be aided by other means, there are ways to provide you with that indirectly, such that you would be the one initiating the questioning. Just might yield answers that are different than the ones you're getting right now.
Understood.
So this whole incident has increased your standing within the Tempestari
Dangerously so.
influence.
I think I'm being taken quite seriously at the moment, perhaps to a detrimental level.
Big spotlight, one way or another. Yeah.
Do
No hiding now.
you think that might give you more influence?
Yes. If we play our cards right. I'll be honest, there were a couple moments where I think I may have overstepped, but with Abigail by my side, I think we managed well.
Abigail, who, in case any of y'all haven't seen the episode, Abigail, who was in town for a whole couple hours and then took the kids out for out camping.
Yep.
What have I missed? Because I'm assuming this is like the night that, or like the next night from
day
when I get
or
back,
two.
right?
Yeah, you guys little wiggle room.
And what have I
Like
missed in your realms?
Legwa starts by sharing, let's say, trivial facts about people's lives based on conversations that aren't really an invasion of privacy, but he shares them without, he shares them like he's recounting data collected for an ecological study. And so they're devoid of like the pleasantries associated with thinking of them like people. And they're like, these are things I saw in the astral, right? Like this person is constipated on Tuesdays and Thursdays Thursday afternoons. And the treatments they're using aren't working too well and is causing marital strife, right? And then he moves on to something else, right? Like this person's complaining about the recent comforters being insufficiently warm and that kind of stuff, right? And then he says some more meaningful things, but it's just like that, just recounting it off the top of his head, like he's memorized a dossier on everybody in town because, it's right there in his mind constantly, right? So, and then he says, I believe Jeremiah is now on a path. Well, no, he says this. He says, I believe that Jeremiah is no longer aimlessly wandering the desert of self-recrimination.
Very poetic turn of phrase.
He might still be in arid lands, but he sees the horizon. And he has a smile on his face as he walks the parched landscape, intending to return home, renewed.
Is there anything we can do to help him on that journey?
He is going to learn to read.
A worthy endeavor on its own.
Yes.
I would imagine, actually, would Jules be at this? Or would this be like the mages are going to get together?
Yeah, Jules is part of the covenant. We've already said that.
Yeah, but, there's levels. So, yeah. Jules
fair enough. No, I just said, we said that Jules is part of the covenant. So my assumption, once we said that, was that unless we were saying explicitly that it's just the four of us, that if it's a coven meeting, then Jules is present. But fair enough, Drew, if you had a different idea about it.
No,
I think
just
that's
check.
probably about right.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he's like, yes, he has made his mark. I almost said signed, but yeah, he's made his mark. He's made his promise to attend every lesson. Oh, yeah, because that would have been with Ralph. So nobody has seen that episode. Yeah, because Jules is doing effectively like night lessons, like
Mhm.
because learning to read is great. There's a school right there. However, it is full of children, and Helena has her hands full already, and doesn't need to add. Okay, now I have to try and teach an adult how to read, and yeah, that's going to be a whole other thing. So yes, Jules is doing more or less like night lessons and stuff like that with probably quite a few of the emancipated folks, as well as, in this case, Jeremiah himself, and possibly some of like the miners and other folks who are like, I wouldn't mind learning to read, sure. And Jules is like, cool,
Yeah.
I have a collection of books that we can more or less read a page, pass it along, right, kind of stuff, things like that are a little bit more entertaining than
Mhm.
Helena with the chalkboard and screaming
Also-
children. Go ahead.
One reason I was bringing up the notion of people learning to read and asking you about that more, Drew, was it now provides an opportunity for us all to collectively talk about the possibility of there being another fallen sorcerer in town at some point.
Mhm.
And how that might contribute to interesting stories, supporting Jules, what have you.
That
I
seems.
think that would be if someone else wants to look into that.
Mhm.
I know Helen at least is definitely not going to try to introduce magic to people.
Mhm.
It's very much if you get there, great.
Mm.
But if you should be there, you will be.
Mm.
There's the Thyrsus and Obrimos overlap there of like,
Yep.
Yeah.
if you survive, you survive.
The golf clap.
Great job. Welcome.
Yep.
Hey.
Welcome to the pack. And Theo, how is Catherine?
Says you the attention. It was
Was she loud mad or quiet mad?
she wasn't mad at all,
Oh,
which in many ways is so much worse.
yeah. She like gives a look to Jules, like, you remember that one time?
So I have I've done some things and made some promises.
Okay.
This shifts the position of his hat.
Some of those promises were a promise to attempt something. She had questions about where I was for 2 weeks and why I didn't know that 2 weeks had passed and why I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. And
Oh, very fair.
and so
Uh-huh.
I
You
answered
did
as
sleep.
I
Just
usually
once.
do. Well, yeah. And so I answered as I always do, openly and honestly.
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Fine, show me."
Uh-huh.
So she wants to be the Tempest.
Uh-huh.
I told her that it was not my place to grant her that, but that I would make entreaties on our collective behalf to see if it was even remotely possible. And then I took her to my workshop.
Oh. Do you need assistance mending the consequences of that visit?
I have inured her to the consequences for the time being.
I don't mean her.
Oh, there's no consequences yet, but there will be some cleaning up to do when the protection I've placed on her falls off.
What? Help me out here. What do you mean protections?
I cast Stealing Fire.
You.
I it gives her a and
Yes.
it puts the whatever's going to happen from what she sees in abeyance until some later time. That includes dissonance and all that will be put off temporarily.
You've
Stolen fire and given
I
it to
see.
her.
You've temporarily saved her
her,
from
like,
the consequences of
jewels.
your actions.
Yes.
Um,
You are aware of how this can go.
Yes. We've had
Are you?
we haven't had this big of a
Mm.
Have
ticking
you ever
bomb.
seen how this can go?
Yes. Yes, because I've always had a policy with her that I would answer questions openly and
That's not
honestly.
what I'm talking about.
Yes, I'm aware that minds can break.
In many ways,
Yes.
you're aware that even if she becomes a mage, it can be horrifying.
Her
Hmm.
and I have had these sorts
What
of
do you mean?
conversations many times in the past.
This isn't
And
a conversation you having with her. This is
let me finish. Every time that I start to share a little bit of our world with her, that we deepen our connection with each other, it gets stolen. Every time the memories that we share, the experiences we have, it gets stolen from her and me and us. And
you
it's
have to keep it from them to keep them safe.
I don't know that it's a have to keep it from them. How did we awaken?
You got lucky. You got phenomenally lucky.
Yes.
To be fair,
What?
Helena doesn't know the story of how you all awoke.
I know how awakenings work.
Right.
And I would say Helena is definitely far more
Across the
educated
board,
than these
yeah.
guys in like banishers
Right.
Yeah.
And Banishers I know and the Herald are
and the Herod and
yeah.
all these things that you all wouldn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's.
yeah.
I think. Like Petrichor is just trying to be like, wait, hold on. What do you mean it can go bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, worst case scenario, you just get jewels, right?
No.
Yes.
And Jules,
That is one
like,
of the that is one of the better outcomes. Probably the second best outcome.
Huh?
Yeah. I don't have the book to pull up what all exactly the Herod and Banishers are, but yeah. Lay
I've
that
been
out
told
for
of
you.
it
You tell
walking
us a
through
little bit.
Metropolis.
It's bad.
Please.
Okay.
Legba puts a hand on Theodosia's forearm. Says, I would like to reinforce that Helena is certainly coming from a place of experience to remind us of a danger she has likely encountered more frequently in her own lives. We are also here as friends and fellow will workers to help resolve potential consequences of our choices and also allow us to maintain the important bonds we have while seeking wisdom. And he looks at Theodosia and he says, while I might have chosen a different approach to protect her, I think it is noble to give her an opportunity to learn. With that said, there is still time before she encounters something that might result in the consequences that Helen is referring to. And I would like to offer, perhaps, an intermediary step. Have you conversed with her in her dreams and showed her the glories you believe will awaken her mind?
Well, her Damon and I have had several conversations in the past.
Those are in the past.
And recently. Like, there's a
And last
history-
night.
and last night. She's asking a lot of questions and she wants answers.
Give her the answers in her dreams before she sees them in reality.
See, that's really good advice.
We're
At
past that.
this point,
I may have skipped that.
Oh,
I
see, Legba misunderstood. He was. Then he steps back.
Yeah.
He leaves the hand there, but then he quiets down a little bit.
I at this point hope for the best. But are you prepared to do what might be necessary?
Yes.
We can hope for the best. Or the second best. Point at Jules.
I don't know that it would be wise to introduce her to the Tempest.
I mean, at this point, I've kind of thrown wisdom out the window, but
I
I hear what you're
don't
saying.
mean to speak with a capital letter.
Yeah.
I mean, both
Just in
for her
general, that's
sake
not a good
and
idea.
also for what I have going on.
Okay. That's
The
what
Tempest
yeah,
is particularly tempestuous right now.
Uh-huh.
yeah. And during your conversation, I came to understand
Bringing a sleeper there, I think, would break some rules that maybe haven't been written yet, but
Because you hear him say, because he's weighing the situation, not because he's interjecting, but he's like, technically, if she's under protection, stealing 5, she's actually not a sleeper right now. So I wonder. But he's not even saying this to himself. He's like wondering.
Right.
It's audible, right? But he's just considering it.
There's no rule saying a dog can't play basketball.
That's right.
I don't think the Tempest are. We're not particularly focused on the exact law.
not the letter.
More,
of the
it's
law.
the spirit of the thing.
Legba actually laughs. He laughs.
That's very clever.
The force of the spirit. He says, like, over emphasizing the words for the joke.
She'll come and like kneel down, like pick her skirts up and like kneel down like right in front of you and just look you like right in the eye and just be like, are you feeling in control of yourself and safe?
If you're referring to the incident at the Mesa, I am in control.
Okay. I want to be sure. I would not want you to be.
I'm aware that what I have done is dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm aware that it's not possible to give consent to something you have no comprehension about.
Sure. I'm just checking as your sister that you are aware and making choices that have life-altering consequences fully within your capacity.
I don't know about my capacity, but believe me when I tell you that I'm terrified.
That's good. Okay.
Consequences may end up being but I'm also the level of pain that I feel on a regular basis about not being able to share what we can see.
And she like glances over her shoulder at Jules and like, I'm not in a position to judge because I can't understand that, because I got extremely lucky that my partner can experience these things. So yeah, she just kind of like peeks over her shoulder at Jules, and then I got very lucky that my partner can experience this. And I know we've talked about the pain that you go through of being less than the whole summation of truthfulness with Catherine. And so I will be praying that God grants her insight into our world.
Thank you. So these are things that I've done. To me, the question is, where do we go from here? She wants to see things. She wants to have experiences. She's asking, when I visited her daemon, it's like her whole psyche is a schoolhouse, and there's all different versions of her asking questions and teaching lessons, and it's all kind of gibberish, but her whole mind is taken up with questions,
Intriguing.
trying to find
You
answers.
should let her pursue that on her own if she is already questioning. The more you show her now, the more catastrophic the outcome could be once your spell ends. It's already not going to be great, probably. But you can stop it from being worse. Because like you said, she's already questioning. Her daemon is full of aspects of herself seeking the cracks in reality.
She's been keeping a notebook
Good.
because I told her how she will forget all of this, and so she's making meticulous notes of everything she's experiencing. I'm not sure how that's going to work out in the end.
I think she is on a path. But those generally go best when they're led from within.
I don't know that I can stop this train now that I've started it.
I mean, part of it you certainly can't, but you can prevent it from being worse.
She's asked me to show her things, and I've agreed. I don't know how I can do that without it being a betrayal.
You can tell her the consequences.
I have. I know that she can't really understand.
Yeah, that's the
But
thing. She cannot understand what you're saying.
Like Chris says, perhaps the issue here is not your desire to show her things, it's your desire to prevent her from experiencing the natural consequences. I now coming to understand the force of Helena's point, that it isn't so much that you're endeavoring to lead your wife along a path of understanding in obvious hopes that she achieves the glorious gift that was bestowed upon us all, just that you are smoothing it in a way that can produce consequences of exaggerated significance. Wherein if she's merely seeking those answers and you help her find them, but you're not inuring her in advance, then in the event that something bad happens for her, it won't be as severe. It will be what happens to people whenever they encounter something strange. I appreciate that you wish for her to retain the knowledge. But there are ways for her to have that knowledge without it being arcane. There are ways to do that. There are ways to cushion your pain. And he lowers his voice, and you look at her like there are ways to make it easier for you, but that can't be done at her expense.
So I'm going to jump in here real quick.
Mhm.
To this good stuff. Everybody's here having a good time. With this all said, because we could roll some dice real quick.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Theo, with the advisement from the gang, because I know we had talked about in our episode that nobody else has seen yet, that you plan to drop Stealing Fire, which currently has a 1-year duration. Before we do a full year of backlog. So that was already the plan.
No.
Yeah, that was already the plan for Theodosia. It was just in the moment, let's just go ahead and give us a big window to work with.
I just
That
wanted
makes
to
sense
have
to
a little
me.
cushion.
That makes complete sense to me. Makes complete sense to me.
But
Put
dear
the
God,
helmets on
please
in the
drop
car.
that.
Yeah, before it's a year worth of stuff, right? Do we want to, because I'm good with us continuing the story, do we want to shift into the Cabal going, okay, Catherine's about to have a really bad day. Do we, as spooky, spectral, magical beings, want to come and prep her for the spell shutting down? Because we have Legba, who can train her in some meditation, possibly buoy her mental state. There was something in life, I think, that might have been able to help. Prime might also have some stuff, as well as just general guidance. And then we can actually roll some dice at this to see where we end up with Catherine.
See what the consequence is for her. Yes. I wanted to roll
I like
point.
Yeah, I'd say that's
Oh, yeah.
if Theodosia is convinced to end it now.
Sure.
Or if you want to keep showing her things. But like that's up to you.
To be fair, Craig, tell him what Catherine has seen so far.
Okay, so she's seen the workshop. She's seen Theo transform into Babasera. She's seen Babasera's Nimbus Flare.
Oh, cool.
She's
Big cat.
she's had Mage Sight with Apocalypse for a small window when she was in the mill.
So she got to see Stygia.
She got to see a little bit of Stygia.
Ooh, interesting.
Seen some of the magic that Theo has woven into the mill to keep it cool and keep everybody safe and stuff. So she's aware of all that. There was a couple of supernals just kind of hanging around when Apocalypse was up.
Ooh, yeah.
So she's caught a
So
glimpse
like a
of
bunch.
You should really end that spell now. Jesus.
Right now, effectively 4 rolls.
She ready to come out the oven. She ready to come out the oven.
There's one more thing that Theo has promised and that she wants, and that's to see the Tempest. But if we can't do the Tempest, maybe she can see the Storm Spirit.
Or if you could share like memories. You could share with her, I mean, Cloak would have to facilitate it, but share with her your memory of the Tempest.
And Cloak says, I talked about the dreams.
Also dreams.
Walk through it anytime you want with perfect reconstruction.
I don't want it to be.
And then like he deeply inhales and then puts his hand over his mouth and he says, I dare. Do I dare? We could take her to the mines and let her daemon take control.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Because the daemon is the sleeper's daemon.
No, I know. But he's thinking about also what he might learn from that. And then he shakes his head and says, no, that's dangerous for her.
Yeah.
So I want to satisfy that request before I end anything, and that's to let her if I can't take her, and I don't want it to be detached from physicality as like what a dream
Mm.
experience would.
I'll
I want
I'll
her.
make her a storm.
That's what I would like to let her see a storm spirit, or maybe just seeing you whip up a storm would be enough.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
It won't even cause a breaking point.
yeah, you could do
Well,
that
it won't
after.
cause quiescence.
Right. There may still be a breaking point, but
Legba says, I can also make this space truly the tempest. I can't provide the storm, but I can provide and then, he says in high speech, the nature of tempest.
What?
that's what I was thinking. I'm looking at the arcana. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Legba says, I can make the space so that via the Arcanum of Prime, it is truly a pocket of the tempest. I cannot produce the storm.
The residents. Yeah.
And he says to, of course I would have to defer to Petrichor for this. The storm, I cannot conjure the storm. However, if you wish for her to be present within the tempest in some controlled fashion, I could make a closet, the tempest. But he goes off briefly. He just says, no, I just mean I can offer that such that if you wish for it to be an experience that a member of the Tempestarii would conclude is authentic, I can support it, such that the Supernal would recognize it to be the Tempest.
I
think-
go ahead.
I think trying a more natural storm spirit is fine.
And seeing a storm spirit out in the world and feeling the grass, beneath their hands, and helps. I think, and I could be totally off on that, but I think it kind of grounds it in a reality that she's familiar with, creating a pocket of resonance. Like it would be impossible for her to even conceive of that, but to see a storm that she can understand and then be able to see the spirit within it gives her a kind of a bridge, is what I'm thinking.
I like that. Okay, so the meeting adjourns. Jules goes, well, I can't be there for this, so writes down some notes and looks at Petrichor. I want details. And then walks away. That there are a few things that Jules puts his foot down about, but accurate scientific data is definitely up there.
So he's not going to fuck around and find his way into a second awakening either.
Yeah.
He doesn't want any part of that.
No,
One was enough.
The discussion was there. You know what? Let's just not. Also, yeah, not.
You already had the Mastigos awakening. How bad could the next one be?
Maybe we'll get a good one this time.
Did you?
It's just sad or not. But I mean, like, there's no brutality. There's just you're dead. Right? Like,
Yep.
come on.
There exists infinite cruelty in the natural world, Cloak.
Wait, you saying this is, of course, me joking out of character.
Sure.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fair.
Like Legba doesn't think like that.
Yeah,
Legba thinks he could wind up in a Mastigos. He thinks, it could be horrible. He thinks an Abrevos awakening could be horrible too. So
Yeah.
I was just joking around about everybody talking about the Mastigos awakening is the worst. He had the one and he walked away from. The rest got to be great. It's a cakewalk now, everybody.
Yeah, true.
All right.
So yes,
And Cloak has also, of course, witnessed cruelty in the natural world. So
the four of you head down to the Stokes home in full shadow name design.
As we're going over, just want to Velosia is not involved in this in any way, shape, or form.
Which actually does bring up, because Helena, the shadow name Michael isn't really a thing that you draw on anymore. Has Helena started to lean into Max, or if you've changed anything else, or is it still just No, Helena, the school teacher, has shown up at the door.
I feel like especially after everything with Ahibahu, she's definitely started leaning into Max a bit more. Like during the 2 weeks, she was sort of doubling down on her patrols and laying out her wards, and just trying to change or to set up the residents in the field in this place as like safe and protected.
What does Max look like in comparison to Helena? Because we know what Petrichor and Babasera and Papa Legba look like, but compared to Helena, what's Max look like?
I'm trying to think of how to humanize like a Great Pyrenees with a spiked collar. Like,
I think it's got to be a lot in like posture.
Yeah,
stuff.
Just carrying yourself very big and strong and solid.
But like at the edges.
Yeah.
Also, like, I guess it's true because Helena doesn't hold herself as being probably particularly strong, right? She probably still maintains a sense of, we're hi, it's Pride Month, but we're going to be,
yeah. And Helena carries herself like a well-educated upper class proper lady,
right? And then Max
she's kind of cold, stiff upper lip type thing. And then Max is a lot warmer, a lot more like salt of the earth working class vibes, because she's a sheepdog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have almost I had a vibe. Helena is the woman who kind of judges you, looks down her nose at you, and Max is the I'm in trouble, she looks friendly, run to that person. Yeah, okay. I dig that. It functionally looking at same person, but just this massive, I mean, it's the, like we've talked about, Clark Kent Superman difference. Cool. And so that's who joins you all down to the Stokes farmstead, crossing the bridge. And Catherine is at home. Valosia is probably asleep. Catherine is probably staying up and waiting.
I never trust that she's actually asleep.
We'll say she's asleep, and Legba can tell. Between inward outward eye and a little bit of mage sight, be like, nope, she is definitely dreaming.
Catherine
Catherine
also pretty good at it.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking of the inward outward eye letting.
Sure.
Yeah.
And with, like you said, mind and mage sight, you can tell if somebody's conscious or dreaming.
Catherine, well, I guess we're too warm out for there to actually be a fire. It does get cool in the evenings, but
still need a fire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we needed it for we need it for utility. So there is, kind of the end of the day's fire, kind of, burning down, not wasting. We don't have candles. Oil is expensive. So that's just the light here at the farmstead. She's sitting in a comfy chair. It's really interesting how every bit of handmade furniture in this house is really comfy. Curious. And I actually, that's exactly what she's shifting a little bit in the chair, and the four of you, as you were kind of coming in, see her making notes about the chair and then getting up and sitting in another chair and shifting and noting. It's like all of these chairs are exquisitely comfortable, because for everybody not having seen the episode, Theo mentioned that the house is never going to be struck by lightning, won't ever catch fire, right? It's not a challenge.
Not a challenge.
Oh no.
I'm sure
I got
this was
time, fate, and forces.
I'm sure this was cleared with the Tempestari before the spell was put down. So yeah, that is the kind of view you have looking in through the windows. You guys step on onto the porch, and I imagine Baba Sarah lets herself in. Catherine looks up and recognizes that persona because she has seen it. You're back? How was your meet? Oh, hello.
Good evening.
Yeah, come in.
And like her eyes look over to Theodosia, to Baba Sarah.
I mean, composure, but she's pretty. But there's definitely she's apprehensive.
But you give her that like the little nod. It's like yeah. And she's like, yeah, please come in. Is anybody thirsty, or
Are you thirsty?
I feel like that is a testing question.
It's not a testing question. You just want to say yes and let me make you some tea.
Oh, yeah, make yourself at home. And like you can
Thank
see
you.
her watching and looking, and like, I recognize, where do I know this voice from?
Yeah, and she doesn't have the paint on tonight or anything. It's
Right.
just like just the
there's the hat, the attitude,
the cowboy wizard hat.
Yeah. And it's like, I know that. Where do I know that from? Yeah. But yeah,
I can't believe there's so many confident women in this town.
But Catherine, welcome in. Our home is your home. My home, like she because she has not been prepped on a lot of etiquette or the social stuff. Other than, Craig, remind me, I think we mentioned that you have allies, but their identities are not yours to share, I think is how you would put it. But yes, welcome in. I guess that I might meet you all. I just didn't expect all together like this.
And Theo, not intentionally, she's just kind of lurking in the corner. So that wasn't necessarily my intention idea either, but when I shared what we had done, they wanted to
We're here
lend
to
their
help.
support.
We're here to help.
Okay, and that makes me feel like I need help, and I know. She says, Theo said that there's some challenge, but I'm up for it. If there's something I need to do, I'm up for it. But
this whole time, like Petrichor is like, putting the kettle, like swinging the kettle over the fire and getting some just whatever tea leaves are there,
right,
and then putting a spell
Isabel
into them.
is welcome in this home before. You know exactly where everything is. Yeah,
exactly.
But the tea doesn't matter. Spell.
The tea doesn't matter until I make it life not matter, but and yeah, this is just like a life perfecting spell of just like, I want her to be like rested and at her maximum possible health of her natural self.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's just it's a cup of tea.
Really good tea. Yeah.
Really good tea.
So she's nodding and as this all
make you feel like a $1,000,000. Hey.
So she kind of, and I think Theodosia probably guides her in this direction to, sit back down and rest, like she doesn't need to be the host right now, right? She can sit and relax. And she's got her the couple papers that has a lot of notes. They started quite large, and now towards the end have gotten I'm running out of page, and she has just basically this one page front and back, and that's all she's willing to do right now. But and she goes from having it out where anybody could see to suddenly like kind of tucking it away a little bit embarrassed, and then like she's not sure, she's just very on edge a little bit. But the tea arrives because we're playing at the speed of narrative, because tea doesn't, well, I know tea is fast, my point is and so she takes that and smiles and thank you dear, and sips. Oh, okay. you can come make tea anytime. Sip it away. Is
It was definitely giving off the vibe that she's in trouble.
Oh, that Baba Sarah is in trouble?
Yeah.
So yeah, and she's kind of looking from, well, actually, I guess she goes from Baba Sarah, who, okay, my wife is in the corner in trouble, in timeout. Petrichor is making tea, so she looks to Legba and Helena, who are then clearly going to be her executioners. But of course, this is Papa Legba and Max, who are, of the four of you, the friendliest appearing, which is why I was asking about Max first. And she goes and she's like, so are you, you're going to help me with the next step?
In any way we can.
Okay.
It's not a test or anything you have to do. It's a matter of persisting, mental fortitude.
Good way to put it.
And she'll like get the cup of tea. It's like, we're here to make sure that you and Baba Sarah make it through the next steps as safely as possible.
That.
Legba says, yes. Catherine, can I call you Catherine?
I don't have another name.
He says, decorum matters to me. That's why I asked you to cross the threshold into your home. Why I asked to use your name. The name is a threshold. The beginning of a connection, a relationship. My name is Legba.
I think
may
I've
have
heard
heard
your
that-
name around town.
Yes. Sometimes I am found at a crossroads. The way's out.
And she does, and she's like, she 100% recognizes that and knows what you are talking about.
Great. He says, you are at a crossroads of sorts. You are at a threshold of sorts. You walk a path that may take you somewhere worthwhile. I believe all paths have worth. But some paths take you to a place you wish. No, he says, some paths lead you to a destination that you would not prefer. Baba Sarah has been serving as the custodian of your personal crossroads. As we all support each other, we are here to help in that stead. Or he didn't say in that stead. In that regard. You've asked many questions. Before you take the next steps down the path, seek a destination you aren't entirely aware of, I would encourage you to be careful about the questions you ask. When you ask the wrong questions too early, you get answers that you are not prepared for. It is much like learning as a child, learning how to walk, and then learning how to run. And falling on your face before you can handle the pain is not very fun.
I'm just so tired of not knowing where she goes and what she does.
We understand.
So, as you guys kind of gather around her, what are we doing to support? So we're giving her tea, so she's full up on, in my mind, willpower and health.
Willpower. Yeah.
Yep. Any other guidance or assistance that we are providing? Yes.
I'm going to wait. I figure we're going around the circle.
Well,
I don't fully know what I can do.
Okay.
I've got Prime. I don't know if that could assist with the breaking point. It feels more. Also, like,
I would
honestly,
entirely understand if Helena was like, I'm not adding spells to this.
Yeah, basically. It's like, I just think that the best thing we can do is to make her comfortable, and
I mean, there are non-magical things, like
Right.
just talking and stuff, like saying the right things now can be.
yeah, I just want to like sit down beside her and try to hold her hand and
Ooh,
sort
actually,
of.
I wonder if that's in here. They have suggested things that can help with, because one of the things we're going to do is meditation. Because I know that's
what we've been over. We've been over that many times. So that's Legos, of course, going to lead her through a meditation exercise and also provide her with the benefit of the meditative mind merit so that she gains a greater benefit from the meditation.
If I remember correctly?
It's +3.
Okay.
It's +3 to all resolve and composure rolls for the whole day when you have that merit at 4 dots. But you have to meditate. And of course, when you get the 4 dots, then it means that it takes you less time to meditate. So that's the whole point of the nice surroundings and stuff.
Yep.
He's also going to make it a space of calm, so that it is an appropriate space to meditate, much in the same way that it is in the mines. He's considering co-locating that part of the mines, just that some part, but maybe we'll see. Legba's walking through his head about the wisdom of casting some spells to help Catherine avoid some of the consequences of this, in that he feels that it would be unwise to put her in a place where she is more likely to awaken, because there are consequences to awakening after seeing all of this. And he feels that would be artificial. He also thinks that it is not unwise to try and prevent her from experiencing horrible breaking points as a consequence of the actions of his friend, right? So he's going through that. I think you know where he's going to go. If it is unwise, he's willing to take the heat and roll the act of hubris, because especially based on the events of the episode, y'all didn't see, right? He's choosing to take a more active role in using his magic now after so long of walking, seeking Sophia and being careful. He's willing to use it to help people more. So, the first spell is Meditative Mind, so she can benefit from it. Then there's going to be a spell to make it a place of calm and sanctity for meditation, much in the same way that the mind has been prepped so many times over the years. And then he's going to cast a spell to increase her resolve and composure to the max, so that she has the best chance to avoid having her mind snap.
Are you spending mana to put her? Because when you say to the max, there's 2 definitions.
The max for her as a human. Okay. He's not making it superhuman, just so that she is in the best possible case that she could possibly be as a person with preparation to endure the psychological consequences of all of this. And like I said, he has, what he comes to is, if it is indeed unwise to do this, I will learn in this moment. Right. I've spent this long being careful. I think it is wise to make this choice. I think this is the time when it's okay to help somebody this way.
I like that. All right.
So spells are off you is actively resisting casting Apocalypse.
Yeah, don't do that now. We don't need that. Cool. So yes, meditative mind.
Mhm.
And in that case, I'm not even going to bother rolling to see how long it takes, because with a target of 4 successes, it won't take long at all. So what we're
Yep.
really going to do is, narratively speaking, Catherine gets comfortable, sits back in the chair. She's still holding the cup. I imagine Legba and Helena are kind of guiding her through meditation to try and figure out what method, because Helena, I imagine, being an Obrimus, comes from a very structured form of meditation, very adamantine arrow, very Obrimos, and Legba has a more feely version of meditation, more in tune with emotions and self, right? The Mastigos versus Obrimos sides of things. And as she settles into a meditative place, I feel like that's something that registers on mind mage sight. Theodosia, do you drop the spell? I imagine you're probably going to say something to Catherine first.
Yeah. I also wanted to show her a storm spirit before we.
Oh, I was imagining you were going to do that because after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
All right.
there's no
Yep,
quiescence.
So Theo will kneel down in front of Catherine and get close and say, "Oh, whatever happens, I want you to hold this thought as an anchor in your mind that I love you. I will always love you."
And she's kind of in this Zen moment, because I imagine you guys have let her know, like, the next thing is going to be rough. And Craig, I think, if I remember correctly, you even mentioned that there's stuff that your mind just can't comprehend, right? So you guys have prepared her from this very, I mean, yes, gnosis is more than just mind, awakening is more than, that, but that's the perspective that Catherine can understand. So she's kind of in a Zen state, we'll say. She's meditative. And she nods, and like she's even got her eyes closed, and she reaches out and touches you and grabs your hand. She's like, "No, I got this. Yeah, no, I know you love me. No, this is good. I'm good. I feel calm. This is yeah." And then, without being overly dramatic, she's like, "Let's do this."
So Theo pauses for a moment and a tear in her eye as she casts the spell.
Cool. Now we're going to have a moment. I'm either going to roll like Chris, or I'm going to roll like Chris. So this is 14 dice.
Yep.
We just need 5.
That
She's been in willpower?
should be doable.
That's with. Oh, wait, hang on.
No.
10.
Resolve,
3,
composure.
6.
Should be 16.
Oh, yeah. But the negatives for seeing the supernal and seeing the various.
I forgot about those.
the
Okay, gotcha.
modifiers,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
So this is just the first one. We have 4 to do.
Cool.
So this
All right.
is the flare of Nimbus.
Okay.
Not a problem. Won't lose a point of integrity.
Yay.
That's 4, by the way.
What did I say?
For the podcast.
Oh, you didn't say what
Oh,
number it
thank you.
was.
Thank you.
We needed 4. We got 4. It's fine.
Well, no. You just
one
need
success.
1 success to not lose integrity.
Oh, okay. So you don't need 4 successes each time.
No. What we
Oh, then
want,
yeah, this should be no problem at all.
right.
But
One to succeed.
an
5.
awakening
Exceptional.
potential is
Awaken.
on- yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So, Craig reminded me we had the flare of the Nimbus, then
yeah,
down
and
into
meeting
the
the
lab.
golem.
Right. So that's
the
going to
whole
be
opening up the earth and descending into the lab and meeting the golem.
yeah. So that whole thing, that's probably a little bit more than just the flare. So I think we're looking at probably 13.
Okay. Yes. Woo. Woo.
To be fair, this is one of those situations where, like, yes, you have a mage, you have a sleeper who is seeking.
Mhm.
if you can guide them through. Now, to be fair, yes, Theodosia did the abbreviated Silver Ladder version, which is here. Let me show you some magic.
Come take a look at this magic.
And then instead of, just showing one event and just letting them see it, piled on the stealing fire. So we have a couple of them, but yes. Actually, go ahead.
Let's roll those other ones too.
Mm-hmm.
Theo is totally aware that waking you effectively become a different person. And she knows that the Catherine Stokes that she loves may not be the Catherine Stokes that comes out of the other side of it. So she's prepared, but she still wants this for her.
Yep. So then we have another 13 for meeting Catherine's son. Oh, come on, Greg.
That was the
Jonathan?
Golem.
Yes, the Golem.
Jonathan?
No, not Jonathan.
She's like, we have a son?
Oh, sorry. Okay, gotcha.
Look at that. There's not a lot of higher cognition going on.
Yeah. But yes, the Golem. What was the name again?
Bartholomew?
No.
No. Oh, Besnick.
Besnick, yep. And then the real gnarly one, Apocalypse in the
mill.
In the mill. Cool. So no integrity loss, an exceptional success. Mechanically, we recognize this as something that could cause an awakening.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
So what do you think, Chrono? Don't play with the thing.
Chrono.
Yeah.
Put the earphones on him. Put the headphones on him.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
meow,
that. Like, yeah.
Trying to meow with the cat right now. Let us do it.
No.
You're being a meanie. The cat wants meows.
Wait,
We're all meowing.
Does Catherine awaken? Yes. Catherine begins her mystery play.
Yes.
Which one of us feels that?
None of you.
Oh,
Yes.
boy.
Yes.
We're all just sitting
You know
there
what
like,
that means we're 5 again.
Actually, I am
Quick, go to the bag and get the spare Power Ranger device. We can summon the Megazord once again.
And that is actually a legit question I was going to ask. Because I'm poking, but actually, yeah, no, you do feel the awakening right at the start, don't you? Because the start, it's after there's is there two?
I think it's we perceive an awakening happening, right? There's a chart. There's a chart, right? Like it's a certain radius depending upon your path and where they are in the mystery play. Isn't that right?
Yeah, but it's a fairly large radius.
Yeah, but I mean, like if it's your path, right? It's like you can feel like 100 miles away or something like that. But if it's not your path, it has to be like a mile or something. Got to be real close if it's not your path. So I don't remember.
I think it's a mile
precisely.
prognosis.
Okay.
I'm actually looking up right now. But yeah, because I was thinking that you feel it at the end, but yeah, I'm totally wrong. It is right at the start. It's the pneuma that happens at the end.
Yeah. And to make sure it doesn't get forgotten, is there any interaction with the pact we made with the imp that will protect or prevent others from recognizing an awakening is happening in town?
No, there's no interaction with that because all of that imp thing was to prevent those who meant harm to Purgatory Bluff. I cannot find the notice. Okay, either way, I'm actually going to put this to the Cabal and think, what do you all think? Because truthfully, an Acanthus as an NPC is fine because I can prevent silly time shenanigans, but that doesn't actually matter because Chris has time shenanigans now. Not that I'm worried about Chris abusing time shenanigans. So the whole idea of, we'll have an Acanthus to round out the pentacle again is not super necessary. So
I know what I'm in, but I'm gonna wait.
All mages and supernal entities of the appropriate path since an awakening within their gnosis or rank in miles at minimum.
Cool.
Though the maximum distance varies according to supernal factors the awakened can't observe.
Gotcha.
And in some cases is much, much further.
Where is that?
Page 131 of Signs and Sorcery.
Oh, it
Oh,
was
great, thank you.
earlier on the. Well, that's irritating. Okay, I should have scrolled back just a little bit
Very
farther.
much.
So yes, because for me, this is an opportunity if somebody wanted to take on an apprentice, and teach them, which applies to both Chris and Ralph's stories a little bit. But it would also be some very interesting interactions for Craig if Craig wanted to take on. So you're apprenticed to your wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a great idea.
No, it sounds terrible. Which also then could mean that Helena takes on, perhaps even begrudgingly, a new Abrimos. So, and this is something. And if everybody is uncomfortable having this conversation now on camera, we can also table it. But yeah, because I told Craig that when we did this, we were going to roll the dice, literally, and
100% prepared for that.
Yep. But I really hadn't planned on y'all doing this today. But it was like, well, this is the direction of conversation. I guess let's roll some dice. I knew this odds were stacked for an awakening, because the other thing is she may come out a sleepwalker, and that's something that I'm going to walk through. But
there's that, and then Banisher, which I'm worried about, which I don't know how you rolled to determine that.
Banisher and Herod are more or less you went in with low integrity, or somebody messed with your awakening. So unless somebody rolls up in here to try and sneak into her awakening,
she's in the best possible situation to not have that happen.
Yeah, the entire cabal putting in Theo's
Petrichor loading the shotgun. Shame.
Exactly.
Like it wouldn't even be a play. We just destroy their pattern, and
It's just getting a little sip of the old Numa juice again.
Yeah.
Saved my life the first time. Imagine what I can do with it now that I know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of her coming up as an acanthus, just because.
I just like the idea that we know that we should have felt something if something happened, and then we're all just sitting there like, fuck.
And I mean, fate magic is fun.
It is. And it's fun for me to have as on an NPC. And
I think Catherine deserves to bend the strings of fate if she wants.
I mean, she's already done it, basically.
So we can like retcon some more details here, but I think that it takes a little while, and she begins, acting a little bit or saying something out loud or enough for us to notice, like, oh, I see.
Yep.
And then probably none of us would feel anything like a connection to our path or anything.
Yeah,
and then
we all like, dude, no, none of us.
No.
All
right, well, this one's on me then.
What were you saying, Ralph?
I think that's an appealing narrative. It would also appeal to me very much if she was a Moros. Not just because we could then make a reference to the two of them being together and studying in a locked tomb underneath the grounds of Purgatory Bluff, right? I mean, that's
Have you read the book yet?
No, I haven't read the book.
You don't get to make references. Only Craig. That's Craig's thing. Sorry, continue.
But she would not have to be Theo's apprentice. She could be apprenticed many places, especially with the assistance of the various members of the coven. And there would be some collaboration that could happen. And Theo is not focused on matter. She's focused on death. And I think it is rare that we get to see a story where there are two members of the same path and they're collaborating closely. So
I'm curious why you think Theo is focused in on death.
Because she said she's more focused on death. I know she does matter, but I mean, just the aesthetic and stuff like this. What I mean is,
I got you. Okay.
she's a necromancer, right? Like, yeah, she has matter high, and she has
Baba
prime and lots of
Sarah
stuff.
is more focused on death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Baba Sarah is more focused on death. I shouldn't say Theo. But all I mean is, we have a Moros here who is more of a necromancer than anything else. And having an alternative representation of a Moros in the same coven is very interesting to me. I think if there were a second Thyrsis or a second Abrimos, that would also interest me. I'm really pointing out that it's because it's Theo's wife that the Moros would be interesting. But so I like doubling up on paths. I was making a joke about the Power Ranger reference because it's convenient, right? But I'm definitely always in favor of there being some means for collaboration between people in the same coven. So I'm also in favor of legacies and covens or cabals where everyone's the same path. But
I think it'd be neat to have some like cross path training since I have time and fate. And that like, okay, I don't know what you're seeing, but this is how some of it works.
Yeah. That is fun. Especially because potentially comes out with more fate than you do.
Right.
And so you have this, okay, I'm going to train you on fate. You're going to train me on time. That's cute.
But also like, I don't want to like call dibs and then also get a second apprentice to do scenes with later on.
Right.
So that's something to be thought of.
Okay. It definitely sounds like
camera?
it definitely sounds like this will require a little bit more discussion. There wasn't a clear unanimous answer. So regardless, yes, we will have to retcon something. Somebody may feel something. But the three of you have a flashback to young Rilla. No, the three of you have a flashback to young Rilla. Suddenly talking and seeing things that aren't there, and the four of you go,
great,
well, we done did something. And I imagine there's some relief, but as Helena has pointed out, we won't know until the end. You are muted or something, Craig. Wait. Oh, there you are.
Theo is definitely not like relieved
Mm.
because there's still a process to go through, and she's not sure what's going to come at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, step one.
Yes.
Petrichor straight up pulls out a cigar and goes to light it, and it's like, no,
Nah,
all right,
no.
Maybe give it a few days.
Yep.
fair.
Yeah, so she actually, imagine, Craig, you mentioned there's some little relief, but there's the process, and then you also realize Theodosia is upstairs. I'm going to have to how are we going to do this?
There's dominoes falling all over the place.
Yep.
Is Velosia a sleepwalker?
No.
Okay, so even though she had her whole soul altered and tampered with,
and even was in her Oneros, which we did in the time skip, but Theodosia came out and has some very vague memories of the event of being taken to an eclipse, and being there with mommy's friends, I think. I'm not sure. And so for her, it's very much this kind of hazy childhood memory that, especially considering the supernatural aspect of it. Was this a dream? Did I have this very vivid series of dreams where I walked when I went through this, and for her, she remembers, I didn't speak for a while, and then I started speaking. No big deal. So now that said, she hasn't asked many questions about it and hasn't really delved into the logic of some of those memories. So that is something that may cause some breaking points in the future, but right now she's happy has successfully spoken with ghosts and is teaching her not boyfriend how to do it. Y'all thought I forgot about that. I didn't.
Legba hears about it constantly. They're talking about it all over town.
Yeah. So with that, with her, actually, you know what I think happens is the teacup drops out of her hands, and she starts to. Oh, of course, it doesn't break. Yeah.
I don't think it hits the ground.
Fair. Snatch. So we turn to the coven. I imagine, some, if you need anything, let us know kind of things. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it's, something for Baba Sarah to watch over and guard. And everybody can kind of go about their normal business. Isabel knows she needs to report back to Jules. Anything else for the night?
I think if we can have a scene temporarily inserted somewhere with Baba Sarah and Legba.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
remember, it can even just happen in our minds at any point.
Sure. At some point in time, Theo and Legba are having a conversation, and she says, "So I don't."
He would linger. He would linger if she, Baba Sarah said, "Please."
Well, it wouldn't be happening at this particular point in time.
Okay, fair enough.
Theo's very focused on what's going in front of her, but at some point, temporarily removed from here, there'd be a conversation, and so I don't know how. Could you theoretically make a fortress or a refuge in the astral?
He smiles and he says,
and maybe not so much a fortress as a city.
Ooh. A city or a citadel?
Not really a city, more of a necropolis.
A necropolis? You wish to create a necropolis in the astral realms?
I'm trying to scratch some itches.
Those dreams we once discussed.
Yes, so maybe simulating something might scratch that itch.
Would it be a simulation? Is that what you wish for?
Well, I'm thinking in the astral, I'm not actually going to be, a despotic ruler
well,
army of undead.
The reason why I ask is if it's in your Oneros, in your dreams, that is different than in the astral realms. If we are creating it in the astral realms, it is not a simulation, even if it is only temporary.
Right, but it's...
Oh, no, actually, you would say, if you mean in the Temenos, is what he meant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In your Oneros, I'm happy to create whatever you like.
She's already got one there.
Ah.
I was thinking to make another one somewhere else that isn't there, that scratch that particular itch that her and I share without actually murdering millions of people and creating a necropolis in the world.
That she would have no access to?
Well,
do you wish her to be able to visit this place?
That would be the next step. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea. I'm just kind of spitballing.
Taking your daemon into the Temenos, that's a terrible idea. Like, ridiculously terrible.
Yes, exactly.
But if I can go there, maybe it can scratch that itch for both of us. Because because at the heart of it, really, both really kind of want that. I am choosing to walk a different path, but that doesn't mean I don't still have that desire.
Same, bro.
Yeah. He says, I have been developing a spell. I think this would be the proper test of it. I think
be like isolated conceptually.
Well,
I wouldn't necessarily want a lot of tourists,
The challenging thing is that things that are talked about become connected, and Neroi are disconnected only because they're embedded within the soul. There are only the three levels. There is only the Temenos, the Oneros, and the Anima Mundi. And for reasons we're all aware, creating this in the Anima Mundi would be foolish. However, I think I'm at the point where it is technically possible to create a pocket within the astral. However, it cannot last long, and I'm not entirely sure of what the ultimate consequences were of doing that, because the astral, by its very nature, is required to be connected. That's what it is. It is a connection of meaning and substance, and this place would have meaning and substance.
But you could theoretically make it difficult to traverse to that place without cutting it off completely. Is that where my misunderstanding?
What I mean is, it's too bad that this is long before the concept of the death of the author, right? But he says ideas can sometimes have minds of their own. We say that figuratively here in the physical and the material. When we are in the astral, we recognize that the very ideas we talk about actually do sometimes have minds of their own. The Goche have minds of their own. The ideas from the minds create minds. What I mean to say is, we can do this, but it may become a resident part of the necropolis, of the Temenos, depending upon what happens. If you want it to happen outside of Euroneros, it may remain.
It might become a thing of its own.
It might become a thing of its own, uncontrolled.
To put it another way, you are building this in the soul of humanity.
Yes, exactly.
It's going to be connected to the rest of humanity.
Yep. So I offer these two suggestions. You're welcome in my own Eros. You can explore this in my own. My daemon would not permit anyone to do certain things that are directly counter to our shared interests, especially considering our recent conversations. Or you can create what will not truly be a part of the astral realms, but an astral facsimile in a pocket realm, which can be animated with its own consciousness. And that is the spell that I've been working on.
That sounds safer, better on all axes.
Great.
I presume that will take some time.
No, we can do it instantaneously if you wish.
Oh,
I have been working on this.
maybe give me a couple days to.
Oh, he like stands back. Oh, a couple days. Well, attend to your preparations.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, you wanted to put it in the Temenos?
He's like,
Leo doesn't know much about that kind of stuff.
That's fair. That's fair.
And that's why she went to the guy who does. Chris?
Sure, go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, Petrichor is fully aware that we just sort of like stopped our meeting in the middle of it. We still had a lot to talk about.
We did.
So while we're sitting here, Petrichor just is like, I think she just like is sitting there just like rolling a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then like, strikes a match off her boot and takes a puff on it, and then it's like, all right, so are we ready to talk about everything else?
Which I love both the fact that like in character this is accurate, and also out of character it's also kind of reflected. Let's go talk about all this cool stuff we could do. Okay, well that's all done. Now we have to talk about
because their scene wasn't part of that.
No, it wasn't. No.
And that wasn't me saying, "Hey, we got to get back on task." But it's just
I knew what you. Because we started talking about Catherine, and we would much rather talk about Catherine potentially awakening instead.
I love that our players and our characters are all sort of avoiding that topic. That Isabel's just. So we still have this elephant in the room that we all know is there.
Please continue.
I mean, Helena's ready to go hunting.
Yeah. So. Next point. Oh man, I don't remember how Jules does this. Next point of order. Perfected suffering and what we're going to do about it.
Yep.
Craig's daemon had an idea.
Theo's looking a little uncomfortable.
Do tell.
Bob, Sarah, you all right over there? Catherine's going to be fine.
Just Is there a value to understanding how that engine, for lack of a better word, works?
I think we understand is enough. All that we need.
I mean, yeah, we have I think we have an idea of the output, not so much the.
Well, we've theorized what the output would be.
To do a quick recap, because it has been a couple weeks.
Making the gears.
So the plantation
Yep.
was one aspect that created perfected suffering, which allowed to make the gears. And those gears went into some kind of engine.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure
But
we're
we
all
don't-
kind of
yeah.
talking about the same stuff.
Yeah, we don't know what that engine does.
Right.
And I wonder if there's a value into understanding what it does.
What they're doing with the suffering.
Well, we know the suffering went into making the gears.
But yeah, what they're doing with the
What-
machine made
yeah.
of suffering.
Yeah, what does the machine do?
All right.
It's not that I don't think finding out what the machine does would be helpful. It's that I don't know that we'll be able to find that information out before we start finding the culprits.
Very true.
Understanding what they've done post facto would be great. Because then we can make sure no one ever does it again.
And I mean, the machine isn't. We know that the machine is out there, but it's not necessarily tied to the culprits that we would be after.
We know it's out somewhere.
Mhm. Okay.
Was there any sense in those memories of what sort of space it was?
Space would be a very good term. So think some Mandelbrot-esque fractal space that just like, as far as from your perspective, Jeremiah could see in every direction, up, down, left, and right. He himself was building a cog while standing on a
Right.
cog.
Mm-hmm.
Over there are pendulums and pistons and more gears. And it was from his perspective, universe of clockwork.
Sure.
With that pounding, ticking.
Rhythm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like an emanation realm almost.
I'd say that from your perspective, that is not a bad description.
But it's not just like a location on a map we're going to be able to find.
No, I know. There's not like a big warehouse somewhere where this machine is ticking away.
No.
Like this
Not
says,
going to be able to ask directions, I don't think.
you still seem hesitant, Baba Sarah.
If anyone wants to do a read on Baba Sarah,
Yeah,
I refuse. I have no dots.
exactly.
Is there a skill called read?
Yeah, it's empathy.
empathy.
Oh, I have one. I'll try. That would be empathy and
Wits.
wits.
Oh my god.
With a -1 even. Yeah, one for
Two
Isabel.
dice. 2 dice, 1 success.
There you go.
Rolling like Chris.
Nope.
0 for Helena.
I don't know that she would resist that hard, so there's guilt in her voice as she's asking these questions.
Why don't you just
Craig,
tell
I
us
love
why
you.
you wish to know? What are you hiding from? Why hide it from us?
Well,
We're not going to sanction your interest.
It's not like you have a second wife you're trying to awaken, right?
No. Well, no.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Craig.
I've seen the demon in your mind.
And she had some thoughts. And
Yes.
Oh boy,
the-
she's my favorite.
I love getting to play her every time.
So if we just summarily dismantle this thing, assuming we even can, then all the sacrifice that went into it was for nothing. We don't
She
understand
was
what
Damon
it does.
operating from the sunk cost fallacy.
And we don't know what it does or what it produces, but what if there were a way to turn that towards a good purpose?
I
Sometimes wonderful things can come through great tragedy and terribleness.
Quite true.
However, I don't think the machine created out of perfected suffering can be turned to a good purpose.
I tend to agree with you, but
Theo staring into a world of perfected suffering clockwork. I can fix her.
One thing I will point out, just so we are not off on false information, the gears that Jeremiah were making were made from suffering. Not necessarily, because your perspective was just Jeremiah's mundane senses. There was a lot of gears out there. But from your perspective, the only ones you know of were made from perfected suffering. So, but yes, Baba Sira's Damon absolutely Boromir leaned in and said it is a gift.
And Theo doesn't necessarily agree with that, but there may be value to understanding how the machine works before we decide what to do with it.
Like what says, I'm willing to entertain this notion. But before I do so, I wish to state that this is entirely hypothetical, because I doubt we'll ever get to the point that we actually have ownership or control of this machine, wherever it is, considering that this is certainly outside the scope of our abilities. I suspect it is either something akin to what we witnessed when we walked with Rilla, or this is something even above her level in terms of its capacity. It would be like us choosing to harness the Tempest and turn it into a different direction, as far as I can tell in the moment. So I'm happy to talk with you at length about the possible moral and arcane implications of harnessing what this machine does for an alternate purpose. But I think we should recognize that in the course of what we intend to do against these people using it, we are likely not ever going to be in a place where we can choose what the outcome of that machine will be.
Granted, I just wanted to set aside some conceptual space amongst us that, should the opportunity arise, we consider other courses of action than simple dismantling.
Figma nods. Happy with that statement made.
It calls to mind the trouble that we had merely interfering with the plans of one supernal being aligned with an exarch.
Yes, and in actual fact, this entire conversation is very hypothetical because we have no idea what we're up against. Or
Right. Regardless of how capable we are likely to be outnumbered, outgunned, and out-divinitied. And so, while we sit in the comfort of your sitting room, it's easy to say, yes, we should learn about this machine, but the goal must be to stop it. Otherwise, why are we here? Why are we embarking upon this?
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
And like, I don't think either from me or from Petrichor, I don't think that's meant to be as like a browbeating sort of like wake up, pay attention sort of statement. It's just being like, this is the reality of our situation. Like, it'd be wonderful if we could learn more about the magical ways that our enemies are doing evil in the world, so as to be able to notice them in the future and stop them and tell others.
I
But
also want to jump in here and applaud Craig for playing up
mhm,
the Damon's
yeah, no, that's great.
dark side. Just to be clear, this is for anybody at home. Craig doesn't actually want to drive the demon suffering machine. That isn't even Baba Sarah's idea. That's just the evil Jiminy Cricket that Baba Sarah
I can
was
fix
given.
her. I can fix her.
Like all that suffering, like all the pain and suffering, it has to have some meaning. If we can give it meaning,
It has to have some
yeah,
purpose.
yeah,
All of them have suffered in vain.
exactly.
Said the woman
It's
holding like the bone stays.
it's given God has a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, for Helena, perspective on this is mostly like my job and what I do is I smash these. I kill them. Get rid of this to protect everything else. So like I wouldn't even know where to begin with analyzing the machine. That's not my job. That's not my role.
Good proper adamantine arrow vibes. They gave me a sword. If I was supposed to study things, they wouldn't have given me a sword.
I'm
Pretty
here to
much.
break shit. I'm here to break shit and kill people.
Point me at the seers.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just like this underlying thing of like this is an opportunity to find out, to have more tests of the like apex predator side of
Petrichor.
Petrichor. That of the fiercest heart of her, not necessarily like who she is as her own individual mage, but that like there is a food chain, there is a pyramidal structure.
Maybe you're
The
placing
fittest
it.
will rise, and I will, a pyramidal structure. Interesting that I.
Mhm.
um,
I'm already in Baba Sarah's head. Now I'm getting into Petrichor's head.
Yep.
When the great refusal comes, whose side are you going to be on? We all know what side we're going to be on.
Yeah.
Well, we all know we can force to be on one side too with space magic. Just to make the literal joke.
So as like a recap, like in character.
Yeah.
Like we have a memory of what he was going through. We have some collection of Nimbus. And we have one name.
Trigander.
What was that again?
Trigander.
Trigander. That's right. And we do or don't know which Nimbus that was matched up with.
I do not believe you currently have a match with name or Nimbus currently. If you're watching this on YouTube and I'm wrong, please let me know.
We also have at least the astral form and identity of another mage.
Yep.
And that also has considerable significance if you're attuned to it. So, but knowing it, right, even though he doesn't know the person's name or doesn't know their Nimbus, that is helpful with trying to find them through the astral.
Just know their Amnion.
Yes.
You were given, was it Sir Lucan?
Oh, it was? Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. There we go. Cool. Perfect.
Presented himself as Sir Lucan. As he
Yeah,
was
that's right,
being
yeah.
chivalric.
Yes,
and
indeed.
told you liberators needed to get out and you were told never to come here. So that's one of the other little tags floating out there that you guys could pursue.
People just aren't being careful, though.
Is there a Nimbus that would match up to that as a
In
decent guess?
in what regard? Like, is it like a knight? Well, the nimbi that you have, because you have the signature nimbus for all of these. How many signature nimbus? I think you got 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, the 5 signature nimbi that you have so far. First one, in no particular order, but was tied to the time stuff, was a tired and weary sensation like you're finally done with an endless task, and a smear of poorly mixed colors set into a unsettling brown and a tinnitus kind of sound. The
Tinnitus.
one associated with the missing memories, and therefore probably mind, right? Was handprints and grips and fingernail scratches being left, as well as like a sense of vision widening completely unrestricted. For
Nobody knows what that's like.
for would you have had that from? How would you have?
I'm trying to remember where we got them.
Right.
We had one from the fire that was being set in the field.
Okay, well, I can definitely do that one, which is objects that appear worn out and used. Locations are picked clean and barren. People are tired and burnt out.
And there was something in the mill. We got one in there somehow. I thought.
You did. I'm trying to remember which
one it was. Yeah.
It was like all the geomancy stuff.
Which is the same one. Those two matched up. And then the healing one is broken materials, rotten roots, shriveled leaves, animal spore.
Right.
So yeah, those are the 4 that
We might have only gotten 4.
Okay. I think we only got 4, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
There's a 5th.
At least.
Fair. Okay. So I think it's just like it's a scene of us just like going back over our notes and.
Yep. I imagine actually possibly getting back with Jules in his notebook of sprawling connections. And that is for Nimbi, the name Trigander, and then also the appearance, the faces of 1, 2, 3 people.
Right.
But you don't have I don't remember if I described them, so I don't have notes for their description, so whatever it was.
I think you just said that you
we'll give them to you later.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, you have description of 3 of them. So a couple different directions to inspect.
Yeah. Does anyone have any ideas on what a next step could look like?
Yes.
Do tell.
I think that, forgive me if this seems forward, Petrichor, but the fact that there are seers within your legacy, and there is the air of suspicion, you may give some of them the opportunity to demonstrate their allegiance in the course of providing you with useful information, especially if it, by chance, has to do with some rival members of another group of seers. It would be in their best interest, considering their internecine warfare, and also it would allow them to perhaps gain some better standing and slightly reduce suspicion from you.
How funny would it be if one of these people was a Tempestari?
Yes.
That would be hilarious.
Wouldn't it be so funny?
Everybody needs a good unburdening every now and then.
An unzippering.
So yeah, there's that. Any other ideas?
London. Legba's been raring to go back. They said, don't come back. Legba said, okay, I hear you. I hear you. Well, guess what? Looks like you didn't take a dump in the town square, but you certainly took a dump in a place I care about. I'm back. We're back. We got some questions. You're not going to send us away this time. Tell me what's going on.
True.
You've been to London?
Oh, yeah. So actually, yes. So let's do the same character. So Legba would bring this up and he would say, yes, we did not realize we were going to London. We pursued someone who transgressed upon our custodial responsibilities here.
Oh, right. Yes, you were.
It was like episode 8 or something.
Yeah.
and he would say we physically threatened someone who we learned was a seer. They did not take kindly to it, just as we did not take kindly to their attempts to infiltrate and influence our town. And we all chose to leave and go our separate ways. Yet. And then,
and
Legba says,
Legba brought a part of a brick with him.
yes, I have a tie. So we can return at any point.
Yep.
I think
We
it's
should visit them. It's been a while.
even odds on if they're connected or know anything, but
Well,
we're
they know
certainly
something.
much stronger than the last time we were there.
He says, last time, let's see, did she have a gun last time? I'm trying to remember out of character. Did she have a gun? She did, yeah. He said, last time you did a pretty good job threatening her with a normal gun. Imagine what will happen this time.
Yep.
I mean, is there something to be said about just going back to where you encountered this knight?
This is the plantation, the Astral Realm.
He says, I gave him my word I would not return.
Who cares?
I care. I made an agreement with the custodian of a place, and I will not turn back on that. And then he, in a pregnant pause, he then says, however, if someone else were to visit or look for information, I would not be breaking my word. However, I cannot return and I will not return. But that does not mean that I won't aid others in at least taking a peek over the fence.
Did you? Okay.
I believe I can find it again. I do.
She's like considering whether to push back on this whole thing. Like it's like,
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
if fate is not involved, if you were not tied and bound, like, I understand you have honor in your word, but
The seers don't.
He nods and he says, I made that statement to him in the astral realms as Legba. And as such, Legba cannot visit that place again. This is not a matter of a geese or some kind of fate-bound oath. Falling back on that word of respect to a custodian on a threshold, asking Legba to respect the integrity of that threshold would be antithetical to my nature. I anticipate there will be a consequence in the event that one of you were held there and I needed to somehow break my word to save your life. I definitely would. He wouldn't say at least consider it. I likely would break my word and invite those consequences upon me. In the present moment, I would prefer to avoid that strongly. And so unless it is entirely necessary for me to break that promise I made to him honestly as myself, I refuse to visit it again, and reinforce that there is a way for others to go, because I can show you the path and you will likely end up there yourself. Or, he says, other liberators perhaps will.
And with that, because I just now looked down at the clock, we ran a little bit late. It's like we were having fun or something. Thank you all for joining us. This was not what I had thought was going to happen. Well, the last part here and the first part was, but the section in the middle was a surprise. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. If you want to join us on Discord, I highly recommend it. Shout out to, hang on here, because this is just going to be fun later. Shout out to Socks.
Oh.
Thanks for joining in the middle of this episode. When you get around to this episode, hi, welcome to the Discord. If you want to join Discord and probably not get a shout out, sorry, this just happened to happen. That's www.yeetinto.space, and you can come join the Discord.
But if you want to guarantee a shout out in an episode,
join our Patreon, www.staylucky.club, and we will read your ridiculous name or your real name or however you want to do it. Well, but you heard it probably earlier, and especially some of you who probably skipped the first part of the episode because I'm going to read it. We had a funny intro, so I bet you got tricked into listening to all those names. Haha. Yeah, so staylucky.club, come join us. Well, support us monetarily if you want to.
I just want to say that intro was like classic gaming, right? Like,
oh yeah.
It's on the table, you eat the shit for an hour before you actually start getting into a game.
Yep. It's like we're sit down, get the beer, get the pizza, get the Mountain Dew, and then talk a bunch of bullshit, and then be like, "All right, we were going to roll some dice."
Yeah, we were doing a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you next time.
bye.
Later.